And welcome to this YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss the fourth lecture related to Indian current affairs of Indian economy. Before we go to the topic, first I want to say a few words to you guys. If you are the first time visitor of this channel, you probably would not, watch the full video. I know that. 99% chances are that you won't even click. You would just see what are the headings, and then you would not even click. You won't even click the video. You won't even watch it. But trust me, stay with me. I would try to explain every point in it in a better way, and I have something important to share with you guys. Our prelims are very much near. Only few days are left now. So if you are not that much serious aspirant, we can't do much about that. Neither I, neither any faculty in this whole country can do anything to you guys. At least you should know anything which could help you in cracking your exam. If you had not studied the current affairs, if you had not studied the static part itself, then these videos won't help you. But I have a you know, special announcement for you guys that if you are thinking of preparing for the next year also, from 1st July I am going to start the static part also, and we would discuss the current daily affairs, and also we would discuss at least 10 to 15 MCQs from last year's papers, from the static portion and from the current affairs portion. We would discuss all these things in detail in three separate videos. So every day I would upload three separate videos. One would contain the static part. For example, if we would study the polity, in that I would try to complete, not try to, I will complete 100% according to the syllabus of UPSC. I would complete the complete full all these important subjects needed for which are needed for us to crack UPSC exam. Mainly polity, economy, history, including all three parts. Then we have geography and ecology and environment and science and tech. At least these subjects, six subjects I would teach before the month of April next year. I would had completed all these subjects. And next, every day I would upload, you know, one video for our daily current analysis, current affairs analysis, while quoting from Hindu newspaper and Indian Express. That would be we would discuss every part how that would be related to our exams, and how the current affairs we can connect them with our static portion. Then the third, which is the most important of all this announcement, is the I would start uploading every day from 1st July a video which would contain at least 10 to 15 MCQs, which would contain the previous year questions, that would also contain the questions from the static portion which we would study, and also questions from the current affairs, how UPSC may frame current affairs in 2025. So what I want to say you guys is, this is my promise to you. You stay with me. Maybe these videos right now may not help you that much, but trust me, subscribe this channel, hit the notification button if that is still there. You would see that if you would stay for this whole year with me, I would guarantee you at least you will qualify the prelims 2025, and I would help you in mains also. So without wasting any time, let's start today's discussion. Uh, what our main topic here is, it is National Multidimensional Poverty Index. Before we go to multidimensional poverty index, first we should understand what poverty is. Usually, if we would try to understand the poverty in layman's language, if we would ask some layman what the poverty is, कि गरीबी क्या होती है, he would probably say that जिसके पास पैसा बहुत कम हो. Usually we define poverty in our lay terms with respect to the wealth. If we have less money, then we say that we are poor. But In poverty, the money is not the only part in it which by which we can judge anything whether it is poor or not. There are many other factors here. So to overcome, in brief, I would try to explain this thing is to overcome this multi-poverty dimension. This By understanding poverty in this dimension, it gave the broader definition to the poverty. It included money dimensions rather than the money. It included the food intake. It included the housing. It included the overall health also in it. So it has a multi-dimensional approach. We could say that it has, in our language we can say that it has 3D approach towards the poverty. So based on this, the Niti Aayog, they released the second edition of the National Poverty Index for family health survey on national health survey. What does it represent? It represents India's progress in reducing multidimensional poverty between National Family Health Survey 4, which was 2015 to 16, and these two surveys in and National Family Health Survey 5, which is 2019 to 21. So in this, we could say from 2015 to 2021, from this period, from in these 5 to 6 years, we had seen the drastic, you know, decrease in the multidimensional poverty in India. About it, it is a follow-up to the baseline report published in now this report, which we can see about which we are talking about, is a follow-up report to the baseline report which was published in 2021 November. So moving forward, let us see what multi-poverty index is. Under the government's global indices for reforms and growth initiative, Niti Aayog is the nodal agency for the multi-poverty index. Usually such questions do come in your prelims exam. They may ask such questions: what is this uh, which is the nodal agency for multi-poverty index, or under uh, for global indices for reforms and growth initiative. Niti Aayog is the nodal agency for multi-poverty index. About global indices for reforms and growth, this monitors India's performance on various important social and economic parameters. What is the methodology used in computing India's national MPI, which is Alkari Foster methodology? It identifies people as poor or not poor based on a dual cutoff counting method. According to the Alkari Foster methodology, which is abbreviated as AF methodology, an individual is considered multidimensional poor if their deprivation score equals or exceeds the India's national multidimensional poverty index poverty cutoff, which is 33.33%. So India's cutoff for multi-dimensional poverty index is 33.33%. What are the sub-indices of the national poverty multidimensional poverty index? We can see head count ratio, how many are poor, proportion of multidimensional poor in the population, which is arrived at by dividing number of multidimensionally poor persons by total population. Then we have intensity of poverty, how poor are the poor, average proportion of deprivation which is experienced by multidimensionally poor individuals. To compute intensity, the weighted deprivation scores of all poor people are summed and then divided by the total number of poor people. So this is the way we could find out the intensity of the poverty. Then we could also see that multidimensional poverty index value is arrived at by multiplying the head count ratio and the intensity of the poverty, reflecting both the share of people in poverty and the degree to which they are deprived. So this much, UPSC is not going to ask you such questions, but for uh, for knowing sake we should know all this stuff. जानने में कुछ बुरा नहीं होता. If we know all these stuffs, it is very good for us. We could say that the UPSC is the unpredictable, very much unpredictable, and they may ask, but usually they will never ask such questions. How is that? How can we find the intensity of poverty or head count ratio? Such questions they don't ask. About indicators in the multinational India's national multidimensional poverty index, we could see a national MPI model retains the 10 original indicators of the global MPI model and has added two indicators which are maternal health and bank account. About health, we have nutrition, we have 12 indicators. We have nutrition, child and adolescent mortality. Then we have maternal health. In nutrition, we have a single member of the household is identified as undernourished. Body mass index of a woman 15 to 49 years, or a man 15 to 50 years is below 18.5 kgs per meter square, or any child between the ages of 0 to 59 months is found to be undernourished. Then we had child and adolescent mortality. Then we have maternal health. Then in education we have years of schooling, school attendance. In school attendance we could see that any school aged child is not attending school up to the age at which she should complete class 8. Up till that age, if he is not attending the school, then we could this adds as an indicator to the multi-dimensional poverty index. और फिर हमें we have here standard of living. We have cooking fuel, a household cooks, whether a household cooks with dung, agricultural crops, shrubs, wood, charcoal or coal. Then in sanitation we have the household has unimproved or no sanitation facility, or it is improved but shared with other households. Then we have drinking. In drinking water, the household does not have access to improved drinking water, or safe drinking water is at least a 30 minutes walk from home. Then in electricity, the household has no electricity. Then in housing, assets and bank account, we could see that no household member has a bank account or post office account. So all these get included in as an indicator to the multidimensional property. Then we have the key highlights of the report. What did we found out? That here we could see that from the report which was recently published, there is a steep decline in poverty headcount ratio, which is from 24.85% in 2015-16 to 14.96% in 2019-20. So there is steep. We could see that the multidimensional poverty has reduced very much, and also 13.5 crore people existed multi-dimensional poverty. Between 13.5 crore people, they exited as multi-dimensional poverty between 2015-16 to 1921. Also we could see that in rural areas we witnessed the fastest decline in poverty, from about 32.5% to 19%. And in urban areas we saw a reduction in poverty from about 8.5% to 5%. We could see the improvement in intensity of poverty from 47.14% in 15-16 financial year to 44.39% in 1920. Also improvement in MPI value, which is 0.117 in 2015-16 to 0.066 in 2019-20. Here we could say that all 12 indicators saw a statistically significant reduction. Improvement in nutrition, years of schooling, sanitation, and cooking fuel played a significant role in reducing MPI value. India is on track to achieve Sustainable Development Goal target 1.2. Usually SDGs, we have 17 targets under SDGs for 2030. In it we had achieved the target 1.2, which is reducing multidimensional poverty by at least half, which is way ahead of 2030. Also, performance of states like Bihar, Jharkhand, UP, Meghalaya, and MP are the top 5 states with the highest share of population with multi-dimensional poverty. Kerala had the lowest share of MDP persons. UP, here we could see that the UP, Uttar Pradesh, they had witnessed the largest decline in number of multi-dimensional poverty index in poor. Then same after UP, we could see in Bihar, MP, Odisha, and Rajasthan have shown fastest reduction in the proportion of multi-dimensional poor. We could see also that Bihar saw the fastest reduction in MPI value in absolute terms. About Global Multidimensional Poverty Index 2023, it was released by the United Nations Development Program. Such questions do come in the exam, so please remember that who releases the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. It is released by United Nations Development Program and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiatives since 2010. It tracks deprivation in 10 indicators across 110 countries. Its key findings are 1.1 billion out, out of 6.6 billion in 100 countries remain multidimensionally poor. Nearly two-thirds of all poor people, which is 730 million, live in middle-income countries, and low-income countries constitute only 10% of multidimensional poor. Now, our next topic is about goods and service tax (GST). We are studying it from 2017 in a different way. In 2017, we were in colleges or schools. Yeah, I was in college then. We heard about the implementation of the GST. What is that? It is the type of the indirect tax. You know. Now let's discuss about it. GST, goods and service tax. About GST, it is a unified tax system that replaced multiple indirect taxes levied by the central and state governments. Before GST, we had multiple types of indirect taxes which were levied by either central government separately, state government separately. So they were combined in a single frame, we could say, and was named as GST. It was implemented on 1st July 2017. About the structure of the GST, the GST system follows a dual structure comprising central GST and state GST levied concurrently by the central and state governments respectively. And we have integrated GST, which is also levied on interstate supplies and imports collected by the central government, but apportioned to the destination state. Then it is given to distributed to the destination state. Then in GST we have GST Council. It is a joint forum under Article 279A of the Constitution of India, consisting of the Union Finance Minister as chairman and representatives from all states and union territories. The Council makes decisions on various aspects of GST, including tax rates, exemptions, and revenue sharing between the center and state governments. If we could, if a question would be asked, what is the need for the GST? If we would ask this question to ourselves. So, the answer to these questions is here on the slide. It gives us here we have the answer: establishment of a single national market. Then we have complicated taxation regimes which existed before, and then we have issues like tax cascading which used to happen before. It had eliminated almost this stuff. Then we had need for incorporation of technology. Then we have limited ease of doing business. Then high cost of tax collection. Even taking tax from people, it does cost some money to the government. So before GST it cost very high to collect those taxes. Now it has reduced it. What is the impact of GST? If we could see that it is a push for cooperative federalism. For example, the GST Council meetings have become examples of cooperative federalism where the center and states have deliberately discussed and have taken timely discussions on various complex issues. Then we have reduction in tax burden. Tax has come down for money common use items with lower tax incidence under GST. Additional taxpayer benefits include easier online process, a smooth flow of input tax credits, and faster refunds. Then we give benefits to MSMEs, easing of compliance burden of MSMEs through measures like composition scheme, then quarterly return with monthly payment option, annual return, and etc. Then we have increased revenue collection. Then the revenues for June 2000, we could see here for June 2023 are 12% higher than that of June 2022. Then increased revenue to tax buoyancy. GST revenue buoyancy for states have improved to 1.22 after its implementation from 0.72 before the rollout of GST. Then we could see that market integration and ease of doing business through enhanced internal trade flows, tax neutral places for business, standard taxation structure, and etc. What are the steps being taken to improve GST? Here we will discuss about the steps taken to improve. We have information sharing. The government has amended provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act PMLA 2000 PMLA Act 2002 to allow Enforcement Directorate to share information with GST network. You know about Enforcement Directorate. We had discussed much in our polity classes, polity and governance. So if you want to know more about it, please refer to those videos. Then currently GST Act under Section 158 gives the power to disclose the information it has about any prosecution under IPC and even under any other law for the time being in force. Then increase the technology penetration use of digital tools by field officers like ITC verification, e-way bill verification, and generation of actionable information by Advait ensured GST compliance. About Advait, a DVAIT advanced analytics in indirect taxes rolled out in 2021. It is a flagship analytics project for indirect taxes by CBIC. It aims to use big data and artificial intelligence to enhance indirect tax revenue, increase the taxpayers' base, and support data-driven tax policies. Then tightening registration norms, GST authorities plan to introduce biometric authentication and geo-tagging of existing and new registrants if they match as risky and entities availing input tax credits fraudulently. Then we have tightening of return filing system. It aims to act against fraudsters misusing permanent account number, which is PAN and Aadhaar identification to obtain GST registration. Now our sub-related topic to GST is online gaming. Here we could see that the GST Council recently they imposed a GST of 28% on online gaming, horse racing and casinos. Tax rate 28% on electric gaming, casino and horse racing to be applied on the initial amount paid upon entry, not on the total value of each bet placed. Covers both games based on both skill and chance. Tax on offshore online gaming firms uh, such companies will have to register themselves with the GST authorities and pay the tax to offer their services to Indian gamers. Amendment to the Integrated GST Act 2007 will be made to enforce this. About the games based on skill and chance, if we have any example, I would say the game based on skill, we all of us had maybe at least we know about Dream 11, that is the skill based game, and about chance, you know, Lodu, you might have played, or BC game, or something related to that. That is the game on, you know, game based on chance. About enforcement, after the necessary modification to the central and state laws, the new tax is expected to come into effect from 1st October. Implications of the move. What are the positive implications? Increase in revenue, it will help in revenue increasing, and moral social social it acts as like it is the moral, moral. If we would see morality in the gambling, that is very not fit in that. So this will demotivate players, youngsters, or who invest in gambling, who gamble much. If this high tax regime, if high tax is levied on it, it may demotivate people to play, and it has a moral hazard with it. For gambling has a moral hazard with it. For example, if we take the example of tobacco or or alcohol, we have they are called sin goods, and we have sin tax on them. So it is kind of that, we could say. And also it to regulate the industry moves aim to simplify the mechanism, eradicate complexity, and imbibe transparency in the gaming sector. What are the negative impacts? It will impact on the FDI. The decision could severely impact the 2.5 billion, 2.5 billion of foreign direct investment which is on the gaming. It could impact on that. and also it may lead to an increase in unlicensed operators, which usually happen. Moving forward about online gaming industry in India, online gaming has seen a significant spike in demand across various online games such as multiplayer online games, role-playing games, real-time strategy or skill games. Status and potential current value estimated to be over 2.6 billion. Project growth a compound annual growth rate of approximately 27% over the next 5 years. User base: India has the largest fantasy sports market with a user base of 180 million, and also employed around 1 lakh people in 2022, and FDI attracted is 15,000 crore in FD in financial year 22 till financial year 22 actually. What is the need for the regulation of online gaming in India? Here we could see it very specifically to create better and transparent taxation to prevent underage gambling, to safeguard the rights of players. Health issues such as stress, anxiety, depression. If you ever had played the Dream 11 and your captain scores well, your vice captain scores well, and you are somewhere in the line. For example, your number is between you know in within hundreds. That time your heartbeat is at next level. I had experienced it. So it does contribute to the stress, anxiety and depression. To deter money laundering activities, huge money laundering is done through this business. To maintain fairness in the process, social issues like poor education performance, underage users, usually we could see that very underage users are playing these fantasy games. Then technical risks like rise of cyber attacks, financial fraud and others. Now our next topic is widening tax base. Here we could see that the Union Finance Minister recently asked the Income Tax Department to follow three broad principles of transparency, objectivity, taxpayer friendliness to widen the tax base. What are these three broad principles? Transparency, then another is objectivity and taxpayer friendliness. For what? To widen the tax base. Current scenario of taxation in India, the tax to GDP ratio is 11.1% in financial year 23. So my question to you is, what is tax to GDP ratio in simple terms? Remember that how much tax we collect to the GDP. And in this we have direct taxes, it is 6%, and indirect taxes, that is 5.1%, lower than the emerging market economy average of 21% and OECD average of 34%. It is very lower than other economies. Filing of income tax returns is 5.3% of the total population. Year-on-year growth in net direct tax collection is 17.67% and 16.61 lakh crore in financial year 23, as per Central Board of Direct Taxes. Reasons for low tax base is presence of large informal sector. The transition in this sector are often routed through cash, making their tracking difficult. If you had watched my previous video, we discussed about the urbanization, and we discussed about you know ruralization, where people are moving towards the informal sector. They are moving from the urban areas to the rural areas and starting to invest in informal sector. So by that process also our taxation will reduce. Tax exemption for, usually in rural areas we invest in agriculture, so tax exemption for agriculture, which is the primary income source for nearly 60% of Indians. We have high incidence of tax litigation. About 5 lakh cases pending in the country are because of tax litigation. We have lack of technical expertise and resources, financial and manpower, resulting in less effective tax administration. Then what are the steps taken by the government to widen the tax base? We have transparency cross seeding of PAN with seeding of PAN with bank accounts and other, helping the government to track all formal transactions through banks. Then we have objectivity, introduction of new data sources in the statement of financial transactions such as dividend, interest, etc. We have introduction of new TDS codes from 36 to 65 codes, resulted in increase in reported transactions. Then we have taxpayer payer friendliness, simplified personal income tax regime, e-appeals scheme to reduce pending appeals and streamline disposal process, then roll out of common IT return form. Now, our next article is Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2023. About Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2023, it was passed in Lok Sabha. The bill aims to give a boost to ease of living and ease of doing business, decriminalizes around 180 offences across 42 laws governing environment, agriculture, media, industry, and trade publications, converts several fines into penalties, implying that judicial prosecution is not necessary to administer punishment, removes all offences and penalties under the Indian Post Office Act 1898, periodic revision, 10% increase of the minimum amount every 3 years of fines and penalties for various offences in specified acts, changes in grievance redress and appellate mechanism, and appointment of one or more adjudicating officers for determining penalties under acts such as the Cinematograph Act 1952, Environment Protection Act 1986, Merchant Shipping Act 1958, and other acts. How do law policies hamper the ease of doing business in India? Here we could see that here in the previous slide, if we had understood from it one thing, that the this bill is diluting the major restrictions. This bill is diluting the law. So now to that question, we have the answer here. How do laws or policies hamper the ease of doing business in India? Here we can see, frame it as a regulatory cholesterol, multiple companies, filling of reports and inspections to oversee diverse parts of business. For example, a typical MSME with 150 employee faces around 500 to 900 compliances yearly with significant financial costs. It hampers it in a way. Then we have clauses of imprisonment. Almost 2 out of every 5 clauses on doing business in India carry imprisonment as penalty. There are around 26,134 imprisonment clauses, around 843 economic legislations, rules and regulations that oversee and influence doing business in India. Then we have lack of proportionality, disproportionate selection of punishment via offences. For example, not punishing the name of the grievance officer and their contact detail on the website under IT Act 2000 attracts punishment similar to punishment for sedition. Then overlapping and cross-purpose laws, existence of multiple overlapping and cross-purpose laws leading to legal ambiguities and suboptimal regulations. For example, overlap between jurisdictions of CCI and other sectoral regulations like DRAI, SEBI, IRDA, and others. Then we have legal and policy unpredictability, frequent amendments in laws, retrospective taxation, frequent changes in GST rates on different goods and service, export bans on food products. Then we have administrative discretion and rent seeking. The creation of regulatory excesses lead to regulatory bottlenecks, resulting in administrative discretion and rent seeking activities by enforcement agencies. Now, coming to our next topic, it is foreign portfolio investment. What is this? The securities and what we have to learn in it. Here we could see that the Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is SEBI, they released the consultation paper on framework for mandating additional disclosure from identified high-risk foreign portfolio investment. This has been done to enhance trust in the Indian securities market by mandating additional disclosures around ownership of and economic interest in high-risk FPIs. To minimize any inconvenience to the FPI ecosystem, only a limited number of objectively identified high-risk FPIs will be mandated to provide such additional disclosure. Categories of FPI: we have category 1 government and government related foreign investors such as central bank and sovereign wealth funds. Then we have category 2 funds which are broad based and appropriately regulated and includes mutual funds, investment trusts, insurance companies, banks, assets management companies, broker dealers, pension, etc. Then we have category 3 endowments, charitable societies, corporate bodies, trusts, family offices, and individuals. About FPI, what is its meaning? The FPI regime came as a harmonized route of foreign investment in India, merging the two existing modes of investment, that is foreign institutional investor and qualified foreign investor. Status of FPI in India, it is fluctuating nature. FPI in India has fluctuated drastically in the past decade. Magnitude in 2022-23, the net FPI in India was to the tune of rupees 1.65 lakh crore, close to 0.6 percentage of the GDP. What are the existing provisions for FPIs in India? It is regulated by SEBI under SEBI's Foreign Portfolio Investors Regulation 2019 FPI regulation. SEBI has prescribed certain limits on the investment that FPI can make in Indian securities. Legislative provisions: Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, which is abbreviated as FEMA, is the primary legislation governing FPI in India. Then we have Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 and the Prevention of Money Laundering Maintenance and Records Rules 2005. If we compare FPI with the foreign direct investment, about FPI, it refers to the investing in financial assets of a foreign country, such as stocks or bonds available on exchange. So, what FPI does, they invest in financial assets. In FDI, it refers to the investment made by the foreign investor to obtain a sustainable interest in the enterprise located in a country. For example, FDI, it is an active investor. FPI is a passive investor. Here in FDI, we would see direct investment, for example, in railways or somewhere else in transport. In FPIs, they are indirect investors. They invest in securities, they invest in securities market. FDI, they have high control degree, about degree of control. In FPI, very low control. The FDI is long-term investment and FPI is short-term investment. Investment is done on physical assets of the foreign country in FDI, and financial assets of the foreign country in FPI. Then we have entry and exit. For FDI it is difficult, and for FPI it is relatively easy. About risks involved, for example, for FDI it is almost stable, and for FPI it is volatile. It may change any time in securities market. Now our next topic is corporate debt market. Here, SBI SEBI, they released a framework for rolling out the Corporate Debt Market Development Fund, which is CDMDF, Corporate Debt Market Development Fund. About Corporate Debt Market Development Fund, it was established as an alternative investment fund with purchase investment grade corporate debt securities during market stress. Alternate investment fund refers to any privately pooled fund established or incorporated in India for investing. These funds are collected from sophisticated investors such as angel investors, venture capitalists, etc. Investment grade refers to the quality of a company's credit. The company must be rated at triple B or higher to be considered an investment grade issue. What is the objective? During market stress, the debt market faces redemption pressures in the open market, especially schemes with long maturity periods. So, CDMDF will help the market by providing liquidity access in such times. The fund aims to emulate the RBI's liquidity support for the banks in the context of the corporate debt market. About contribution to the fund shall be mandatory for specified debt-oriented MF schemes and asset management companies. Tenure initially 15 years. It can be extended as per SEBI's mandate. About corporate debt market, the debt market, also called the bond market, fixed income market, or credit market, is the collective name given to all traders and issuers of debt securities. The market can be broadly divided into government debt market and corporate debt market. Issues companies issue corporate bonds to finance current operations, expand product lines, or open new manufacturing facilities. Nature corporate bonds usually describe longer term debt instrument that provides a maturity of at least 1 year. Regulation: SEBI has jurisdiction over the corporate debt market. The regulatory jurisdiction between the SEBI and RBI was clarified in 2000. by an amendment to the Securities Contract Regulations Act 1956. Under this, RBI's regulatory jurisdiction includes money market and government securities. Status of the market in India: outstanding corporate bonds in India as percentage of GDP stood around 17% in March 2022. The same figures for other emerging Asian economies are higher. For example, for South Korea it is greater than 80%, Malaysia greater than 50%, and China it is almost equal to 40%. Now, our next topic in today's discussion is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which is Manrega 2005. Why it is in news? Because Parliamentary Standing Committee on Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, they tabled a report highlighting the issues and providing recommendations for Manrega. About what Manrega, we should know that it is centrally sponsored scheme under Ministry of Rural Development. What is the purpose? Making supplementary livelihood in rural areas through the unskilled manual work at legal right, 100 working days at least. About beneficiaries: all households members aged more than 18 years and residing in rural areas, done through door-to-door survey. Then about implementation: prioritization of work and social audit has to be done by the Gram Sabha. What are the key issues with Manrega? We have inadequate allocation and payment delays. We have reduced budgetary allocation in this interim budget. We also saw the reduced budgetary allocation, 34% less budgetary allocation in 2021-22 compared to 2021. We have delayed payment of wages due to infrastructural bottlenecks, unavailability of funds, and lack of administrative compliance. We have no compensation for delayed payment of wages due to under-calculation of delays at different payment stages. We have institutional poor capability of Panchayati Raj institutions, inadequate administrative and technical resources with Panchayati Raj institutions, particularly at Gram Panchayat level, adversely affect the planning, approval, monitoring, and social audit of the scheme. We have blur accountability as financing agency and implementing agency. State and local governments are different. We have non-appointment of ombudsperson according to the standing committee report Feb 2022. Out of 750 possible appointments, only 263 ombudspersons have been appointed. Here we have systematic issue, also issues with the wage anchor, CPI, you know, agricultural labor. Types of work done by the agricultural laborers and Manrega workers are different, suggesting minimum wages should be decided per CPI rural labor. Then we have fabrication of job codes and associated corruption. We have digital divide, adversely affects the implementation of digital attendance, Aadhaar payment, bridge system, and others. We have issues specific to women: non-availability of child care facilities and other basic amenities such as safe drinking water, access to sanitation services at the work site. Then we have low awareness about the process and entitlements under the scheme. What are the recent reforms undertaken by the government? We have digitalization, digital attendance of workers through the National Mobile Monitoring System app, and Manregas have been mandated for under Manrega has been mandated for all work sites except individual beneficiary seeking projects. Then we have GIS based planning, which is Yukta Dhara portal, which is holistic planning of Gram Panchayats based on watershed development principles using the geographical information system. We have secure and online application developed for estimating, preparing, and approving Manrega work. We have Geo Manrega to geotag assets created under Manrega to ensure effective audit and curb instances of corruption. We have other digitalization efforts like direct benefit transfer management information system and MSMAN app for smooth reporting and categorization of grievances. We have convergence with other schemes. Cluster facilitation project has been rolled out in 300 blocks of the country, converging Manregas and National Rural Livelihood Mission for improved overall effectiveness. We have social audit. The system of SA is being strengthened in association with the CAG office to provide auditing standards. We have Constitution of Amarjit Sinha Committee to recommend structural and other reforms required in the rural job guarantee scheme under Manrega. Other initiatives like Project Unnati intends to upgrade the skill base of Manrega workers, increasing the number of days of guaranteed work for drought calamity affected notified rural areas and tribe households in a forest area. Now, next topic is about Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Recently, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Rural Development and Panchayati Raj institutions released its report on Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. About this report, it is under the Ministry of Rural Development. It was launched first. Its first phase was launched in 2000. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. It is about road connectivity projects for left-wing extremism affected areas, launched as a vertical under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So this road connectivity project for left-wing extremism affected area, it was launched as a vertical under PMGSY, which is Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, to improve the connectivity in 44 LWE affected left-wing extremism affected districts in 9 states. Online management, monitoring, and accounting systems as an mechanism for monitoring the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. National Rural Infrastructural Development Agency works are executed by the state and monitored by Ministry of Rural Development through NRIDA, through National Rural Infrastructure Development Agency. What are the phases of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana? Here we could see that particular it was launched in 2003. It is phase 1. It is object for the phase 1 objective was enhanced road connectivity with access to all season roads. Its timeline was September 2022. About its phase 2, it was launched in 2013. It was for upgradation of selected through routes and major rural links with a target to upgrade 50,000 km in various states and union territories till September 2022. Then in phase 3, 2019, for consolidation of 1,25,000 km existing rural road network by upgradation of existing through routes and major rural links that connect habitations to Gramin agricultural markets, higher secondary schools and hospitals till March 2025. What are the issues in implementing this scheme? We have funds remain unspent according to the standing committee report. The unspent balance as on January 2020 stands at rupee around 6,800 crores. Issues of land acquisition as per the CAG audit report for the period between 2010 to 15. In 11 states, 372 projects were abandoned due to the non-availability of land or land disputes after incurring an expenditure of rupees 280 crore. Then we have poor implementation of the project. Some projects were completed without required bridges or cross drainage structures, making the roads non-usable for all weather connectivity. Also, under under the scheme phase 3, the sanctioning of the entire targeted length of the road to the states has not been completed so far. And then we have fund diversion also. According to CAG report, funds for road construction in multiple states were diverted towards maintenance and administrative expenditures, salaries and wages. Then we have quality control, monitoring and evaluation irregularities such as non-establishment of road laboratories, non-availability of equipment and non-deployment of trained manpower. The committee opined that this scheme PMGSY roads do not take into account playing of heavy tonnage vehicles which nowadays cause immense damage to the rural connectivity roads. IT audit of OMMAS data is not updated on OMMAS regularly, which has led to management information system reports being inaccurate and unreliable. Now, our next article is about NABARD, which is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. why it was in news. We could see that the Union Home Minister, they recently stated that the NABARD has worked as a backbone of India's rural economy. How is NABARD as a backbone of rural economy? We could see that NABARD aims to build an empowered and financial inclusive rural India through specific goal-oriented initiatives to promote integrated rural development. For this, the following efforts have been made by NABARD. Promotion and development around rupees 5 lakh crore has been sanctioned under the country's Rural Infrastructure Development Fund created in NABARD. Then we have Watershed Development Fund and Tribal Development Fund or other important livelihood interventions. The Wadi model has become a vital livelihood intervention for the tribal population. Then we have refinancing. In the last 42 years, NABARD has refinanced rupees 20 lakh crore in the rural economy. Refinancing is taking a newer loan to pay off existing debt. Then we have strengthening financial rural institutions. About rupees 8 lakh crore has gone to the rural economy through NABARD for capital formation. Then we have NABARD supervises rural cooperative banks and regional rural banks. About National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, about NABARD, we should know that it comes into existence on the recommendation of B. Sivaraman Committee in 1982 by the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development Act 1981. So it is a statutory body. Agricultural credit functions of RBI and refinance functions of the Agricultural Finance and Development Corporation. It comes under the Ministry of Finance. Ownership wholly owned by the Government of India. Its vision is development bank of the nation for fostering rural prosperity. About mission promote sustainable and equitable agriculture and rural development through participative financial and non-financial interventions. It has non-credit related functions, for example, supporting the financial inclusion efforts of regional rural banks and cooperative banks, thrust on the promotion of livelihood opportunities and micro enterprises, and also support research and development rural innovation. About credit related functions, it providing refinancing to lending institutions in rural areas. Then we have facilitating credit flow for promotion and development of agriculture, small industries, cottage and village industries, handicraft, and other rural crafts. Then we have loans to cooperatives, farmer producers organizations, primary agricultural credit societies, or similar institutions. About initiatives to increase credit penetration in rural areas, we have lead bank scheme, we have provision of priority sector lending, we have self-help group bank linkage program, we have Kisan credit card scheme, then we have Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Now, our next topic in today's discussion is the livestock sector. Here we could see that the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying has launched the first ever credit guarantee scheme for the livestock sector. It aims to strengthen credit delivery system and facilitate smooth flow of credit to the MSME engaged in the livestock sector. It will be under the Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund, which is AHIDF. About Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying has established a credit guarantee fund trust of 750 crore, which will provide credit guarantee coverage of up to 25% of the credit facilities extended to the MSMEs. About HIDF, it is a central sector scheme established under the Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package. It incentivizes investment by individual entrepreneurs, private companies, MSME, farmers, producers, organizations, FPO, and sanctions aid companies to establish dairy processing and value addition infrastructure, meat processing and value addition infrastructure, animal feed plant, breed improvement technology, and breed multiplication farm, setting up of veterinary and drug production facilities, animal waste to wealth management, agri waste management. Then we have financial support in interest subvention of 3%, loans up to 90% of the total project cost from any scheduled bank, National Cooperative Development Corporation. Then what are the key government initiatives for livestock? We have National Livestock Mission to promote entrepreneurship, development and breed improvement in poultry, sheep, goat, piggery, including feed and fodder further development. Then we have Rashtriya Gokul Mission for the development and conservation of indigenous bovine breed. Then we have livestock health of disease control to improve animal health through prophylactic vaccination, disease surveillance, and strengthening of veterinary infrastructure. Then we are supporting dairy cooperatives and farmer producer organizations to provide working capital to state cooperative and federations. Other government initiatives are National Program for Dairy Development. We have Livestock Census and Integrated Sample Survey. We have National Animal Disease Control Program. Then we have Livestock Census and Integrated Sample Survey for this National Animal Disease Control Program. Now, the last topic, I think this is the last topic of today's discussion. It is farm mechanization. The Standing Committee on Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Food Processing recently tabled a report on research and development in farm mechanization for small and marginal farmers. It refers to the development and use of machines that can replace human and animal power in agricultural processes. About this, we studied it a little bit in last class also. So, agriculture mechanization level in India is 47%, in China it is 59.5%, and in Brazil it is 75%. States such as UP, Haryana, and Punjab have very high mechanization levels, but northeastern states have negligible mechanization. So, direct benefit transfer portal under the Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Act as a single window for clearance to approve equipment, machines, procurement by individual farmers, custom hiring centers. What is the significance of the farm mechanization? We have increased productivity and profit. Use of proper equipment can increase the farm productivity by up to 30% and reduce the input cost by about 20%. Then we have improved quality of crops. Mechanized equipment uses uh, uh, precision and accuracy, leading to improved crop quality. Then we have reduced work burden and increase efficiency. The usage of non-farm equipment can reduce the work burden and increase the efficiency. Then we have aid in outward migration of educated youth, aids in outward migration of educated youth from the farm sector and help them to contribute better in the other sectors. Then we have the sustainability, promote sustainable agriculture by reducing the amount of load, water, and energy required for farming operations. So, guys, I guess this is the last slide, and if you are still with me, thank you very much. If you are not still, thank you very much. So I wish you best of luck in your life. Stay blessed and have a best life ahead. Stay with me. I had promised you. This is not the way I teach. Trust me, this is not the way. I'm just reading here the news for you guys. Maybe anybody would watch it. Maybe anybody would mute the video, or there would be something significant in it that may be helpful for you. But from 1st of July you would see the different way of teaching that would be very much simple, very much understandable, and very much linked to your exams directly. So trust the process. Do subscribe the channel, hit the like button, and share with your friends. Maybe anybody will get benefited from this. This would you know uh, if anybody will get benefited from this would you know वो आपके दिल को नरम करेगा और मुझे भी अच्छा लगेगा if anybody from your friend circle will subscribe to this channel. So please do subscribe and do help me in improving these videos, in improving this channel. Thank you very much. Sorry, I have one more slide. So here, all that what I said in the last slide, I knew I do forget which is my last slide. I don't even know if there would be any other topic or not. Let us come to the topic here. It is the government initiatives to improve farm mechanization. We have submission on agricultural mechanization, SAMAM 2014-15, under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. It is to assist the state governments in providing training and demonstration of agricultural machinery and assist farmers in procuring agricultural machinery and equipment. It is currently merged with the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. Then we have custom hiring centers, or they are set up under the SAMAM scheme, through which cooperatives and farmers producers organization subsidies are provided. It is customs hiring center which is under SAMAM. Through this, the cooperatives and farmer FPOs subsidies are provided then via in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh provide farmers with farm machinery at concessional rates. So I guess this would be the last slide. I hope it is. In this slide, what did we discuss it? We discussed about the initiatives to improve farm mechanization. In it, we discussed about SAMAM, which is submission and on agriculture mechanization. Through this, we have a custom hiring center, uh, uh, which is under the SAMAM, through which the subsidies are given to cooperatives and farmers producers organization. Then also we saw that the states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh they provide farmers with farm machinery at concessional rates. I we have another news here which I forget. Now here we have some related news. Here we could see that the Union Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare they recently launched several technology-based initiatives under PMFBY. What are the new initiatives launched? We could see their Weather Information Network data system, which is WINDS portal, a centralized platform that hosts, manages, and processes hyper-local weather data collected by automatic weather stations and rain gauges at taluk block and gram panchayat level. It will enhance risk assessment and decision making in crop insurance and agricultural advisories and disaster mitigation. Then we have yield estimation system based on technology, manual technology driven yield estimation system offering methodologies, best practices and integration insights for accurate yield assessment at the gram panchayat level. Then we have door to door enrollment app. AIDS Sahayak app ensures a seamless and transparent process, making crop insurance more accessible and convenient for farmers.